Hey guys, welcome to my channel. This is a story of what if Sasuke regrets his decisions and want to make atonement for his sin. Don't forget to like and subscribe to this channel, it will surely help me, and also it will notify you on my upcoming videos, and check the description for the creator of this great fanfic. Thank you. Now let's start the story. Chapter 11. Difference. The difference between his training ground. 3. Naruto wore her new outfit, as did Sasuke. Sasuke wore a black one-piece uniform that had short sleeves but long pants, with the Uchiha fan displayed on the back. Naruto wore a pair of black pants and dark blue and burnt orange long-sleeved shirt, and they both wore their Chunin flak jacket. Sasuke even loved how handy it was, and Naruto felt much better wearing it, although she had her clan spiral while he had the Uchiha fan on each sleeve. All in all, they looked ready to attack. Monday, 3 went to the Hokage office and collected their promotion paperwork, their uniforms, and their pay. Kakashi told them that they will have a spar with their classmates, and as the two walked to the training grounds, Sasuke was adamant about her going first. But Sasuke, what if I hurt them? Naruto asked in a concerned manner. Sasuke scoffed at her. If you would not be the first to attack, I will use a B rank Kaden. And you know exactly what one. He replied as she paled. Use that B rank futon on them, and I will not allow them to die. Nah, I doubt that they will be harmed. Seriously Tem, you need a shrink. I'm so telling Kakashi sensei about it. Naruto replied and he shrugged. He didn't care at all. How dare he? But a B rank. On fresh genins. You want to kill them? No. Hurt, maybe. He replied as she sighed. Half-powered one would do it. Without hurting them too much hopefully. As they waited, Sasuke twirled his short sword as he sighed. He really wished for a very durable Chikuto, but he knew that his physical limitations are what kept him back. He was shorter than his age, but he didn't care. Soon enough, he will hit his growth spurt. And then Kakashi arrived. He was always the last to arrive to annoy them. Usually, he would arrive too late, but after one time when Sasuke and Naruto kissed each other, started a tickling fight which the Uchiha won, and even spent the entire time flirting with each other, the Hatake made sure to annoy them by arriving exactly 1 minute late. He didn't even know that it was part of Sasuke's plan to get him getting there sooner. Kakashi, wanna hear a joke? Sasuke waved jovially. The Hatake nodded. Every time you're later than 10 seconds, me and Naruto Haim would definitely enjoy the fact that we're alone. To kiss the life out of each other. Naruto snickered as Kakashi sighed dejectedly. Oh, these two are just kinda annoying, yet too good to be angry at. Well, in that case. Embarrassing you two would be my favorite pastime. Kakashi replied as Sasuke looked at Naruto who smirked. And for us not to read Ika Ika. Hell yeah. Well, Sasuke-kun and I had agreed to read that book, even in public. But since you don't want us to. She started only for him to hug them both in a proud, fatherly way. My cute little Chunins are growing up. I'm so proud to pass the way of the Ika Ika. A gentleman pervert and a loyal perverted lass. Sniff. I just can't hold them back. Kakashi almost wept like guy as he handed his two Chunins their books. Read these, and you might know why I always read them. The author is the best one I know. Actually, we read his first novel, and Naruto read his Fuinjutsu books. He knows what he's doing. Sasuke replied as the girl smirked. She had enough books of Fuinjutsu to be probably a future seal mistress. Also, I think that we need the other books. Sasuke then opened the book and pretended to be reading. Naruto did the very same. The look on the senseis and genin's faces were priceless. Kurenai, Ino, Sakura and Hinata fumed, Shino and Shikamaru were shocked, Asuma's cigarette fell from his mouth, Choji and Kiba sputtered some unintelligible curses as Kakashi took their pictures. Kaka-sensei, please give us the copies. Naruto pleaded her sensei before she exploded in a booming laugh. Kakashi shook his head at her unladylike manners, but he didn't say anything. Sasuke however made the others shocked enough as he laughed his ass off. Kakashi snapped their pictures once again. I guess that the prank worked out. Sasuke announced. All according to my plan. Sasuke pranked us. Was Kiba's indignant yell. Oi, I never thought of that. Shikamaru commented as the Uchiha smirked at him. Illogical. Shino added as his eyebrows returned to their position. Sasuke-san, Naruto-chan, that was mean. Hinata's soft voice was heard loud and clear as the two smirked and grinned respectively. Oi, why is Naruto Baka and Sasuke-kun wearing a Chunin jacket? Sakura asked and Kakashi sighed. Because they're just promoted to Chunin on their last mission. Asuma replied. But they opted to remain in Kakashi's team for a long while actually. Asuma-sensei, wasn't the Chunin exam the only way to be promoted? Choji asked and Kurenai shook her head. If it was, we would not have as many Chunin and Jonin as we do. The exam is one way. The other is through field promotion, but it falls to Hokage-sama's judgment. Kakashi replied seriously. Well, as for being a Jonin, there's many requirements. Kurenai per example lacks one very important one. Insanity. Naruto chirped and Kakashi patted her head. That girl was something. Well, with that out of the way, get ready. This is a team versus team battle royal. Any member who falls, it's a team loss. Kakashi announced as the other two were in front of Naruto, who started to breath deeply, her hands in the Hitsuji seal. Like we're going to worry about Naruto Baka. Sakura said and Sasuke's eyes darkened. Sorry Sasuke-kun. You learned nothing, huh? Naruto, ready. Sasuke smirked evilly as she was prepared to traumatize her Genin's classmates. Hajime. Kurenai said and Naruto immediately attacked. Futon. Atsugai. And Naruto unleashed her very densely compressed mass of wind chakra all at once. It was like a tornado unleashed in a split second as the bleeding force tore through everything, trees, earth, and through the Genins with a terrifying force. The blunt force was enough to knock them all out in an instant, not even the tankiest like Choji or Kiba escaped unscathed. Sasuke swept the battlefield with his Sharingan before he smirked. A flawless victory. I used the blunt side actually. She commented as Kakashi snapped another picture of Asuma and Kurenai in shock. Oi Kakashi, did you really want to kill our brats? Asuma scolded and the Hitaki scoffed at the Sarutobi. Because you trained them to be brats. I trained them to break their limits each and every day of the week. But on the weekends. He replied calmly. But Kakashi, a Genin. Chunin with a B rank is almost unheard of. Kurenai argued as Sasuke glared at her. That woman. When complacency become the norm, their future is doomed. Oh really? I guess that everyone teach what he learned at that age, no? Kakashi asked with an evil-looking eye smile. But Kakashi, you were a Jonin by then. Asuma replied as Kakashi laughed at him. So. That kid's brother was an Anbu captain by then. So was that girl's father. What can I say? I have no weak link. Kakashi replied as Kurenai glared at him, sorry. But keeping the Genins doing menial chores instead of B-ranked mission is a waste of talent. Kakashi replied before he sighed. After all, one is an instant learner, and a perfectionist. The second is a very fast experience gainer. Why not? I mean, I don't think that guy wouldn't teach his Genins a lot of useful stuff. Look, Kakashi, we get it that you're a prodigy and all, but Asuma started only for the Hitaki to plant a katana on the floor. Is letting our potential good soldiers go to waste something normal? Kakashi asked furiously. Look, if you're okay with that, then it's your problem. I will not waste a good talent when I'm given one. The academy is just proof of that. How many jutsus does they teach? 3 that any 4 years old Uchiha, Senju or Uzumaki can do in their sleep. Kakashi replied sadly. Sasuke and Naruto hugged their mentor's waist, calming him down. Don't forget Hitaki. Sasuke added before he turned to Naruto. Well, you see, that's a problem that needs to be remedied and soon, but think about what Kaka-sensei have just said. See you soon. Naruto waved as Kakashi sighed in dejection. Look, I'm sorry but honestly. If you two can't teach them more than you should, then it's over. Who knows when war will break out. Kumo is moving in a very clandestine manner, Kiri is still war-torn, Suna is suffering, and Iwa is an unknown. The small villages, no one knows what they're doing. Itachi and Orochimaru are still free. And one of them is terrifying me. Kakashi replied as he sighed. Orochimaru was. Well, he can easily take him out with the help of Naruto, Kurama and Sasuke, but Itachi. Good luck with that. I know. Killing Itachi. That's something that I have no idea if I can pull it off. Let's go, Kakashi. Sasuke replied sadly. Asuma and Kurenai gave him a questioning look. Did Sasuke change? Well, just tell them that I held back, See ya too soon, married hopefully. She chirped and at the shocked look on the two Jonins, Kakashi got another picture. Oh, that's going to be a really good night for him. Hokage's tower, Kakashi-sensei, are we going to give our report? Naruko asked her sensei, who nodded sadly. Naruko, your fight, your report. Sasuke replied seriously. The blonde sighed. She tried to collect everything that transpired, every detail, every action. Then her eyes widened with horror. They assumed that I was just calming myself down and molding my chakra for a shunshin. Naruko asked, and Sasuke smirked proudly at her. She continued. They underestimated me. At this, Kakashi beamed behind his 10 masks. They paid for that, but a battle of attrition against you is their worst nightmare. Kakashi added. Kiba, Ino, Sakura, Choji and Shino did underestimate me. Hinata and Shikamaru jumped a bit too late instead of clinging to the ground or diving down. She concluded, and Sasuke nodded at her. Oh, this will be funny. You would have burned them alive. He smirked devilishly at her. Why? Hey, to show them the consequences. If they won't pick up the slack, they will really die. He replied a bit too seriously. Wow, you're too jovial, you know. Kakashi scoffed before he nodded. Good assessment. They better be careful. Then he remembered the darkness of his student and sighed. He prayed that the friends Sasuke was seeking would somehow arrive at their front door. Well, it would be a much better alternative to Sasuke seeking them himself. As the team knocked on the Hokage's office door, Hiruzen let them in before he looked at Naruko. Said blonde looked back in a sad way before she started her report. Hokage-sama, the fight between Team 7 and Team 8 and 10 was in my term. Well, it was a massacre. I started breathing deeply and made the Hitsuji seal, yet only Hyuga Hinata and Nara Shikamaru were weary, but alas, they lacked speed. I used AB rank futon jutsu to knock them all out of consciousness, and unfortunately, I'm afraid that they all underestimated me, but the before mentioned too. They all rushed at me, assuming it was a shunshin at best, since it had the same hand seal. I'm sorry for not restraining myself too much, but I lowered its power by 50%. They'll probably wake up in the hospital a few hours later. As Naruko finished her report, the Sandame smiled at her warmly. Well, it seems that Kakashi team have 2 golden eggs. Don't hesitate to ask me for help, anything so this old man gets some well-deserved rest from his hellish paperwork. But I have to tell you, you became really strong, Naruko-chan. The Hokage praised the blonde, who sighed as she glanced to her teammate before she shook her head in denial. No. Sasuke-kun is still stronger than me actually. But thank you for your generous offer, Hokage-sama. Naruko replied as Kakashi nodded. Is there anything else we can do? Kakashi asked the old man, who nodded and turned toward Sasuke. Well, Sasuke-kun, I have a question to you. I heard that you have some friends outside the village, care to explain? Hiruzen asked Sasuke, who sighed. I need to rekindle our friendship, but once done, I guarantee you, they will be an amazing addition to the village. One of them is a Hozoki, one is an Uzumaki, and the last is probably a prisoner. But they're really strong. If I can manage to save them, then maybe they'll settle here. Maybe they'll be an amazing unit, with me, Naruko, and Kakashi-san. Sasuke replied as Hiruzen nodded in acceptance. Time travel or not, Sasuke was a smooth talker. You know about that whole clan restoration act? Hiruzen asked Sasuke, who shook his head. I have only one person I am interested in romantically. Said person does deserve the best of me, and my loyalty is for her only. That's all what I'm going to say. Sasuke replied as Hiruzen nodded. If Danzo will try to force Sasuke. Yes. Itachi will be the perfect man for the job. No one will force you to it, as I will exceptionally allow you to deny it, Hokage's order. Hiruzen replied as Sasuke nodded gratefully. As long as nothing bad happened to him nor Naruko, he will not destroy Konoha. Hokage-sama, are we dismissed? Kakashi asked as Hiruzen nodded. Well then, I got you your training gears, Naruko. Sasuke, we'll build it up more. So, starting today, Team Kakashi will need to remain in the training grounds until I say otherwise. And as Hiruzen nodded, Kakashi explained. You see, Hokage-sama, I think that these two can surpass even those I have in mind. And we'll need a cage-level team for a cage-level special cases. It will take time, I admit. But the results will be worth it. So, yes, please keep this under some extremely tight wraps, only Godime-sama is cleared, I presume. And Hiruzen nodded with an evil smile on his face, something that disturbed Naruto. See you soon, Hokage Jichin. Naruto waved as the three shunshined. Well, they were about to when Kakashi didn't. Naruto and Sasuke were already at their training ground, the other teams long gone. Sasuke counted to 9 before Kakashi appeared and he smirked. His team is too interesting it seems. So, Kaka-sensei, what did you get? Naruto asked and her mentor was practically beaming at her. Haracian. Minato-sensei never taught me that before. He said in a childlike glee, almost like a kid in a candy store with unlimited money. Not interested. Sasuke announced. His own Jikuken didn't even need a marking, and it was able to get anywhere. In a millisecond to boot. It wasn't Kamui, but it was something more superior travel-wise, yet inferior that it lacked its intentionality. Whatever he thought, he was no coward, and he can transport people with him instantly. I am actually very interested in learning this one day. Naruto replied and Sasuke almost grinned in anticipation. Jikuken ninjutsu is the best escape for her in any pinch. Well, maybe sometime later. Kakashi replied as he threw her a rubber ball. Now focus on destroying this ball, like tear it to shreds. In order to do that, you need to imagine your chakra like before, but thinner and more dense. This is a lot harder than before. He advised as his student got to work. Sasuke didn't care much for her Rasengan to copy, but it was enlightening to some of his Raiden jutsus. As she started to work, Kakashi told Sasuke how to increase his natural speed. The more the Uchiha trained, the more he realized something. Physical training was hard, but it was the only way for him to do it, to surpass his limits, to avenge Naruto and her parents and their son, to get this world to become a safe place for everyone that mattered. To Naruto. Sasuke then had an idea. Kakashi's Raiden Kage Bunshin was like. Naruto, use your wind chakra in creating a shadow clone. Sasuke blurted out of the sudden as the girl gave him a confused look, a shrug and then she used just that. It took her many tries, but then she succeeded in doing that, and there were nothing. No smoke, no shadow, nothing. The Uchiha grinned impishly. Oh, this was just too good to be true. He activated his Sharingan and saw the clone. He smirked as Kakashi had to uncover his own Sharingan in order to track her down. If Kakashi needed that dojutsu, it meant that this is a very high-class infiltration jutsu. Hey, inventing an A rank. Sasuke asked the blonde who raised an eyebrow as Sasuke threw a kunai at her clone, displaying it but not without said kunai to be thrown away and shredded at the same time. Kakashi had to erect an earth wall to protect himself from the shrapnel shower, and Sasuke shifted his and Naruto's position behind said wall. Naruto, only you can do something like this. So, Sasuke, what about complimenting and treating a certain blonde genius of a teammate? Kakashi asked the Uchiha who sighed. I know that she would definitely burn the bank account of the entire Uchiha clan if left to her own devices. He replied as he then glanced at her. No offense, but I don't think that there's anyone else who eat like you. Oi, what do you mean? I have a high metabolism and all, you know. Naruto replied as he snickered. Someone is reading a lot these days. Well, I guess. Who said that I do mind it? Sasuke replied as the blonde blushed. Why is he always trying to push her button then say something really sweet? The two then kinda went into a date. Kinda as Kakashi was the third wheel. However, he reminded them that their training from hell had just begun, and even gave them a schedule. From Monday to Saturday, they will camp outside and train physically and mentally. Their training will include stuff too advanced for Chunin, and he told them THST now they're going to buy the only entertainment they'll be allowed to have, reading books and scrolls. Naruto was dismayed while Sasuke teased her relentlessly. Well, not really, but she was book dumb with no reason as their physical exam showed. With the other rookies Asuma sighed for the 10th time as he heard Kiba's rant about Naruto's new abilities. Sakura was still in disbelief. It happened so fast they had no chance to even mold their chakra. Just like that, off the bat, they lost. What did Kakashi do to make her so strong so fast? That was not normal. I never thought about her mastering a jutsu of that grade. Ino replied as Kurenai palmed her face. Really, it was like walking into a massacre. Kakashi is the best ninjutsu specialist right after Hokage-sama. Kurenai explained as Hinata shook her head. Neji Nizan talked about Kakashi-sensei being a beast when he's enraged. Otu-sama said that he was an Anbu captain for a while before he became a Jonin instructor. Also, there is a rumor that he is probably the best Jonin in the village. Hinata explained as Shikamaru whistled. Even Oyaji was afraid of Kakashi-sensei. He told me that he is more of a beast than a man. That only his rival, who is a taijutsu specialist by the way, can keep up barely with him. Shikamaru added. But we assumed that she would just use taijutsu. I guess that we've been had all along. Not only that, but Sasuke-san is probably much stronger than he showed. Shino added. Somehow, Asuma was surprised that the Aburame figured it out himself. The way Sasuke carried himself wasn't even a Jonin way, it was a total beast of a man. I still can't believe that Naruto of all people was able to defeat us and since the very beginning. Kiba added as Akamaru yipped. Say what again? And the dog's yip made his face drain of all his blood. Kiba, what did Akamaru just said? Sakura asked her teammate who sighed dejectedly. That Sasuke could have killed us in his sleep literally. That was disturbing to everyone. And that had he been fighting, Asuma-sensei and Kurenai-sensei would not be left unscathed. At best, they'd lose a limb. Kiba, what do you mean? Choji asked as the Inuzuka's face turned grim. Naruto feels like an ocean, you know. Hinata, how much chakra does she have? Kiba asked his teammate who sighed. More than Asuma-sensei and Kurenai-sensei combined. The Hyuga revealed. Sasuke have that massive dark chakra entity behind him. Like something related to him yet different. Worse even, he have more chakra than Asuma-sensei. Kiba revealed what Akamaru yipped about. That was disturbing. 3 months later, hey, I guess that we're about ready. Sasuke told his girlfriend who smiled street him. It was the most arduous training they had. The first few Sundays they just slept the entire day. Kakashi was indeed a sadistic scarecrow. Hey, we learned so much and we still have miles to go it seems. She replied, I mean, he said that we're almost ready for a ranked missions. Think about all the glory we can get. As she heard his grunt, she scoffed, I know. You don't really care about glory at all. So, now what should we? Sasuke, why are you shocked like THST? Naruto, they're here. Sasuke announced. Karen I get it, but Jugo and Suigetsu. I must go and talk to them. Whatever. I'll go see Hinata-chan or something. She replied as he disappeared. Sasuke was no censor, but he remembered his old, soon-to-be friends very well. And so, a white-haired, violet-eyed preteen walked with an orange-haired and eyed calm yet depressed-looking taller teen. They were accompanied by a very vulgar pinkish red-haired girl. To Yuya, if you would not shut up, I swear, I'll cut you to shreds. The white-haired warned as he grabbed his claymore. What the fuck do you mean you fucktard piece of? She didn't even finish her words when a raven-haired guy knocked her out and put her on a tree. Yo, what's up with you two? The raven-haired guy introduced himself. Uchiha Sasuke. Pleased to know you too. Hozoki Suigetsu. The white-haired replied as he shot him a semi-grateful look. His partner remained silent. This tall dude is Jugo. He doesn't talk much since. Suigetsu. He warned in a sad tone. Jugo, let's go somewhere nice. I'm paying. Sasuke replied as Suigetsu shrugged and followed them. Imagine Sasuke's eyes THST widened at the sight of Naruto and Karen talking together like they were some old friends. Naruto. Can we sit here? Sasuke collected himself. Hello Tem-kun. So, are these two your friends? She chirped. Wow, is she your girlfriend? Suigetsu asked the Uchiha who kinda nodded. Hey, well, let's have a talk. Say, Jugo, what happened to you? You look like me back then. Sasuke asked his old friend who sighed. I had a friend who fell terminally ill, yet Orochimaru sent him to his death. Kimimaro was the only one to stop me, however Orochimaru insisted that I work with Suigetsu and Tayuya. I swear, one day. Jugo replied as Sasuke gave him a sad look. That's horrible. I'm sorry for your loss, Jugo. Naruto offered her condolences as Suigetsu grinned. Karen, what happened to you? Sasuke asked the red-haired who sighed. I'm stuck with two assholes. She replied and Suigetsu grinned. This was interesting. Say, Suigetsu, how about you and Jugo joining me? I'm planning to have a very special unit. Kakashi is a troll, but he's a good guy. Sasuke told his two old friends who shrugged. I have to refuse. I'm seeking the 7 swords of the mist. Suigetsu announced as Sasuke smirked at him. If you do something, I will give you the second best. He announced, and Jugo, if you stay, I will be your cage. How about this? He asked as they both grinned. Got yourself a deal. Suigetsu then ordered an astronomical number of yogurt cups, while Jugo got himself some beef, Karen some pancakes, and Naruto, surprisingly, a good tea like Sasuke. They talked for a good hour, and in the end, Sasuke and Naruto have won 3 new friends. Suigetsu and Jugo excused themselves like Karen so their teammates won't be suspicious. Then the two walked into one Kankuro holding up Konohamaru. You better put the kid down. Sasuke said as he had his sword at Kankuro's throat. As the Sunanin did just that, Naruto grabbed him and shunshined away, taking his 2 other friends with her. Also, tell your friend there to get here. Gaara. Temari and Kankuro said as said red-haired was in front of them. Gaara, I didn't. Kankuro said only for the red-haired to interrupt him. Shut up or I'll kill you. You're an embarrassment to our village. I apologize for my teammates' idiocy. Gaara said as Sasuke smirked and shook his hand. What are you doing and why didn't the sand came to my defense? Proving your existence. If you didn't exist, how come I can shake your hand? Sasuke's reply made Gaara shocked. I know how you feel. But let me ask you, your siblings, don't they love you? I doubt it. He replied. Maybe. But if push come to shove, I know that they would risk their lives for you. Sasuke answered as he looked at the other 2. Don't lose the last bond you still have. Kankuro, Temari, do you consider me as your brother? Gaara asked as they both smiled at him with conviction. Of course I am. Kankuro replied. You're my dear young brother. Temari hugged him as Sasuke smiled and lowered his forehead protector over his left eye. Guys, do you consider each other irreplaceable? He asked as the 3 nodded. What are you waiting for then? Talk to each other. Oh, and there would be some young Konoha ninjas, please don't kill them. He asked as they nodded. He then disappeared with a lightning shunshin. With Naruto the blonde was talking to the 3 kids. She also was pissed at Sakura, a lot. However, all of that evaporated when Sasuke was right at her side suddenly. She jumped only for him to put his arm around her shoulders, calming her down. Sorry for leaving you alone, Yuzuritankachi-chan, but I had to make sure that they won't kill anyone important. Sasuke replied as she shook her head. Did you give them a traumatic experience? She asked as he shrugged. We just talked, and I have a way with words. He replied as she laughed. Only you. So, they're your friends? She asked as the Uchiha shrugged. The ones that you wanted to save. Yeah. The Sunanins are not yet. He said only for Gaara and his 2 siblings to arrive. Uchiha, I have came to thank you. You were truthful. Gaara said as Sasuke nodded. How about a spar after the exam? Fine by me, Gaara. Sasuke smirked as Gaara nodded. So, that's your girlfriend. You have a good taste if she is. Kankuro said as Temari smirked at her. That Uchiha have some luck. Yeah well, Sasuke and I are not yet an official couple. But yeah, she replied. Uzumaki Naruto. She introduced herself. Gaara. The red hair introduced himself. Temari, and this one is Kankuro. She replied as the blonde smiled warmly. Kono-kun, why don't you take Moegi and Udon and go somewhere? I think that this is a ninja stuff. Naruto told the team softly. Then Ebisu arrived and she then walked with her teammate somewhere. Forest of Death 2 days later. Naruto and Sasuke waited in an ambush. Suigetsu and Jugo agreed to take care of Tayuya, and go to save Karen. Kakashi wasn't very far as he was ready to do the deed, getting them to the tower. Sasuke saw that Karen was saved by Suigetsu and now, he and Jugo have stood close to the Uzumaki. The 3 shunshined, Sasuke grabbed Suigetsu, Naruto grabbed Karen and Kakashi grabbed Jugo and they shunshined to the tower. This time, Orochimaru tried to attack Sasuke's cage bunshin only for the Uchiha to put him in a Mangekyo enhanced genjutsu. The team arrived at the tower, and walked inside calmly. The 2 Chunins, Jonin and X-Kusa and Oto Genins arrived at the Hokage. Hiruzen gave Kakashi's team and the 3 others a judgmental look. Kakashi asked for permission and Hiruzen nodded. Hokage-sama, these 3 ninjas are requesting an asylum and to be integrated to that special team I told you about. I saw an amazing potential in each and every one of them. Suigetsu is a Hozoki captured by Orochimaru, Jugo is a recent genin who hates our biggest traitor and Karen is an Uzumaki from Kusagakur who wished to defect for good. They signed the waivers, and the official story is that they're all dead. The unofficial story is that they are here in my unit. Kakashi told Hiruzen, who looked at each and every one of them before he asked them. Suigetsu, why you'd wish to join Konoha? Hiruzen asked as the Hozoki smirked. Because I saw one friend of mine loyal, and home is where the friends are. I hate Kurigakure for taking everything from me, and I hate Orochimaru for experimenting on me. You hate Orochimaru. We can make a sweet deal. My loyalty is for this place, if you want it. Suigetsu replied calmly as Hiruzen turned to Jugo, who sighed. Orochimaru sent my only friend to his death. I can be here if you need a berserker. He replied softly as Karen nodded. I don't have anywhere else, and I found a probably younger cousin, so. Yeah. Karen replied as Hiruzen gave Kakashi a questionable look. Trust me, Hokage-sama, they'll be an amazing asset. Kakashi replied as Hiruzen nodded at him before he asked Sasuke one question. Sasuke-kun, you and Kakashi have an S-rank mission to Kurigakure. If you two pull it off within a week, then it will make you have reached your goal. Hiruzen told the two, who grinned. Thank you, Hokage-sama. When do we leave? Sasuke asked Hiruzen, who smiled at them. After the preliminary round. Naruto-chan, I know that you would feel left out, but there's a man I want you to meet. Hiruzen replied as he then gave the girl a good look. If he gives you any trouble about not training you, tell me. She nodded as Sasuke then looked at her longingly before he sighed. It was the time he came clean with her. As they heard that Team Taka, which Sasuke called them, would have a month in probation, Jugo suggested locking him up whenever he would have lost himself. He warned Hiruzen about his split personality and Naruto gave him an empathetic look. After the preliminary, hey, I am glad I did not participate in this. I could have killed anyone but that Gaara kid. Suigetsu commented in annoyance as Sasuke nodded at him. He knows what the Hozoki was capable of. Then, Sasuke pulled Naruto away from the others. Before she could say anything, he kissed her hungrily, as if he would die or something. Sasuke, what's troubling you? Naruto asked her boyfriend, who sighed sadly. Remember that man I have to kill? He asked as she nodded. I think that I'm ready. But this is my most dangerous mission, that's why I have Kakashi with me. I might die. He was pulled into a kiss as she then gave him her most serious look. If you don't come back with his corpse, Uchiha Sasuke, I will kill myself, then kick your ass all the way to hell, where we'll be there together for eternity, tormenting you. She threatened and he laughed. One glance is all I need. Kakashi is there for backup just in case it goes badly. And it won't. See you in a week or two. He said as he and Kakashi waited for her to meet Jiraiya, who, predictably, was acting like a bastard. Suigetsu, Jugo and Karen were there in an instant. You know something? Gigi was right. I'm going to train on my own. I will not waste my time for someone to relieve himself from his own guilt. See you around. Let's go, Kakashi Tokubetsu Han. Naruto replied as she and the others went away. The next day, Jiraiya was already there, waiting for her as he had an apologetic look. She bet that the old man had already chewed him out. As he then properly introduced himself, she gave him a very unimpressed look. Team Taka even gave him a thumbs down. Look, how about you sign the Toad contract and becoming my apprentice? Jiraiya asked the girl, who sighed. She did that, before she summoned Gamabubta of all toads. Although she agreed to become his subordinate, he was kinda stubborn about them sharing a drink. However, she declined politely and even apologized for her rudeness. He smirked at her, at least she kinda was humble and likable. As he put her down and puffed away, she gave Jiraiya an expecting look. So, how about a jutsu that surpasses the Chidori? It's a 3 steps. He begun and she sighed. You mean the first is bursting a water balloon, then exploding a rubber ball, then making it inside an air balloon? She asked as he gave her a widened eye look. I'm on phase 3, so, any other jutsu? She asked as he smiled at her. How about training in using that red chakra? As soon as he said that, she glared at him. You know what? Kakashi-sensei is no Fuinjutsu expert, but at least he tried. You on the other hand want to make me into a weapon. She replied angrily, yet calmly. No, the Yondaime have given you that power for. He didn't get to finish his words when she yelled at him. Cursed me. He fucking cursed me with that. The only 2 friends I had before these were an Uchiha and a Hyuga. The others didn't even look at my way until I did everything to win their respect. Is that a gift, huh? She yelled at the top of her lungs before she darted away. Suigetsu spat at the ground, Jugo flipped him off and Karen glared at him before they shunshined after their teammates. Mizu no Kuni Sasuke put Roshi and Han under a Rinnegan Genjutsu, enabling Kakashi to Reikiri the both of them. That mission turned south and fast. If it wasn't for the Uchiha's Rinnegan, they'd be fucked. Shaking their heads to clear their own thoughts, Sasuke then went to where he was sure that Tobi would be. And he wasn't mistaken. He had one shot at that. 2 weeks after the preliminary, Naruto was on the head of her father. Jiraiya was her godfather, but he was a total dick to say the least. He had no respect nor sense of responsibility. His audacity to ask her, the poor orphaned girl, for money broke the straw of her patience. Kurama told her to ask him about the key one day, and that's the sole reason she tolerated him. She asked him for tips for her fuinjutsu, and he didn't even give her a single hint. She had enough of him. Then she felt the air shift as a strong presence was there and a vortex was opened, only for one Uchiha to walk in. Sasuke. She asked as he immediately hugged her. Hey, Yuzuritankachi-chan. He replied lovingly. I avenged them. Now all that remains is for Kakashi to finish the report. Also, I talked with Itachi. He turns out to be a very cooperative guy. He agreed to help me out with something. As she heard his words, she did something he never saw coming. She punched him on his stomach, hard before she kissed the life out of him. That was for making me worried halfway to death, and the kisses for everything else. So, you buried the hatchet? She asked and he smirked. Hey, forever until I need my hatred back. To save your ass. So, how was your 2 weeks of Uchiha-lessness? He asked and she sighed before she replied. The more he heard, the more he became a vindictive spirit. I think that both me and Kakashi can come up with a plan. Now then, let's go. Time for us to keep the Godime someone who hated that job. Sasuke told his girlfriend who gave him a raised eyebrow. You better explain your words, Tem-kun. I mean seriously, you came from a deadly battle and you expect me to just listen to your plan. She replied as he sighed. Fine, we'll talk later. First thing first, who is it? A Sannin, and he better stay in line or else. Anyways, there's another Sannin, which I kinda respect. However, I doubt she wants the hat. Sasuke replied as Naruto gave him a questioning look. Tsunade needs to return, but first things first like you said. For now, we'll just remain Kakashi's pups. Kakashi-sensei is just amazing honestly. He brought us and himself so far in 3 months. So, how did you kill him, and what happened to make you too late? I thought you said a week. Naruto asked as he smirked. I guess that there were 3 complications. First, 2 unexpected problems. Second, he wasn't alone. Third, well, let's just say that. I had to take a detour while Kakashi returned the old fashion. We were able to pull it off and I got something incredible back. He replied as she noticed. That vortex. She replied and nodded. Jikuken. That was the coolest thing ever. Hey, I copied both ranges of Kamui, somehow. I finally understood the mechanic. How it's something. I can't tell you yet. So, what do you know about Oinen? He asked as she raised an eyebrow. Hunter Nins. What are those? She asked and Sasuke sighed as Kakashi was with them. Hunter Nins are the ninjas who take care of missing ninjas. Usually they are best known in Kurigakure. They usually dispose of the bodies after bringing the head. He replied as they sighed. The body of a ninja have many secrets. Although Sasuke here decided to seal the corpse for some reason. Mask and all. You will know later. For now, let's bask in the silence of victory. He said calmly as he thought how he put Kisame in a genjutsu. He would have taken Samahata, but he needed to talk with his brother privately, and Itachi almost had Kakashi. Sasuke grumbled in anger at how his sensei was almost taken from him. They spent less than 2 days in Mizu no Kuni. But after he managed to return to Kakashi's side via a vortex, they were almost ambushed. Kakashi was preoccupied with Itachi as Sasuke put Kisame in a Rinnegan-enhanced genjutsu before he shifted his position near Kakashi. He asked his brother for a few seconds. Itachi was shocked about his brother's plan, and called him his magnificent bastard of a little brother, while he called him his dear foolish older brother, since their mother probably forgave him. Sasuke also decided to sick his brother on Danzo and the 2 elders. They deserved to die for their sins. Tobi was dead, and the Akatsuki will probably know the truth if Itachi will reason with pain. Unknown location. Nagato was disturbed. He just did what Itachi told him, and needless to say, that he would have pushed the world to its doom. He had just touched Zetsu with his ninjendo. To say that he was livid wouldn't be the beginning of it. He sent the Uchiha a very grateful look before he sighed. Madara's plan for peace was flawed, was misguided. Now all he needed to do is to rid the world of its problem. And maybe repay a debt. Itachi, I need you and the others to gather me intel on the other Jinchurikis. He ordered as he then sighed. I think that I know exactly what to do. Leader Sama, my only term was to leave Konoha and especially Sasuke out of this. His girlfriend and future wife in the Jinchuriki of the Kyuubi. Itachi told the man whose eyes softened. Nagato. Call me Nagato. Your brother will have nothing to fear from us. I will not harm him nor his future wife. They deserve their happy ending for his help. Nagato told the Uchiha who gave him a grateful smile. Thank you, Nagato. Itachi expressed his gratitude. Konan, can you locate the other Jinchurikis by the time we get more money? Nagato asked his last friend who nodded. Good. By then, we'll be ready. Nagato, so we stay clear, I might leave the Akatsuki one day if you ever harm Uchiha Sasuke and Uzumaki Naruto. Itachi warned as his Sharingan spinned into his Mangekyo and Nagato smiled at him. We understand, Itachi. Now, do you know a man from Konoha named Kanzo? She asked and the Uchiha gritted his teeth and clenched his fist. Danzo again. Blind in the right eye, X-shaped scar on the chin and shaggy black hair old coot. They nodded, Shimura Danzo, an elder. So, we ambush him one day, and get our retribution. As they nodded, Itachi gave them a bloodthirsty smile that would make Madara proud. Let's wait then. Also, maybe Tsunade Haim would help us. I think that you are an amazing partner. You and Kisame have my approval to kill a snake whenever you two want to. Nagato told the Uchiha who grinned savagely. That was a good deal. Konohagakure Karen looked at her cousin, Suigetsu and Jugo also gave the Uchiha a sad look. Look, I don't want to use your generosity, but can't we get some clothes? Karen asked the two who gave her a sad look. No, we can't afford to. You. Sasuke asked as Suigetsu sighed. If we had any money, we would have done so already. He replied as Naruto grinned mischievously. Nay, Sasuke-kun, do you know how to pick locks? She asked and they all had the same mischievous glimmer in their eyes. Oh, this will be interesting. That night, Naruto sneaked with her teammates to a clothing store as they all remained concealed from the Anbu. Naruto was a stealth expert, and she outran them in regular basis. Little did she know that Kakashi had already ordered the Anbu to focus on looking at the other side. Even their sensei was on this, but they didn't need to know. As the locks came out, they moved in like a very coordinated pack of wolves, stole every clothes they'll need, store it on a scroll, and then they relocked the store. Kakashi trailed them for a while as they got into Sasuke's apartment. Hey, Naruto-chan, you are amazing. Karen thanked her cousin as they both went to take a bath. A sisterly bath. Well, it's something that I was always good at. I just remembered their patrol pattern. Also, my futon cage bunshin are the perfect scouts. She replied as Karen whistled. Wind chakra shadow clones. You managed to do that. So, what's the flaws? She asked her cousin who tapped her shin. Footprint and smell. She replied. But it's negated by their dispelling. Either a powerful gust with concussive force, either blades of wind. She replied and Karen smiled at her proudly. You're a genius, Naruto-chan. Karen squealed. Well, I guess that the boys are enjoying their own boys' time. Kakashi watched as the boys removed the tags from the clothes they had. Sasuke was waiting for Naruto and Karen to do the same. As the two girls got out in their nightgown, Sasuke blushed as Naruto teased him mercilessly, before she removed the tags from her own clothes. They're learning too fast to think like ninjas. Everything is ending well it seems. He thought proudly. The next day Kakashi and his team, well, his entire team old and new climbed a mountain, one-handed. He left a cage bunshin with the Hokage. He had the disturbing news of Gekko Hayate's murder, and the Anbu had already concluded that it was done by a futon ninjutsu. He then saw that both Sasuke and Naruto racing each other as they climbed faster and faster. As soon as they reached the top, Kakashi almost eye-smiled. Good job, now go down using your chakra and up using the other arm. He ordered as he too waited for the other three to climb up. Surprisingly, it was Suigetsu who arrived and drank a lot of water, like probably an entire gallon. Karen was next and Jugo arrived last. Jugo, did you say that you're a very recent genin? No, I said that I'm a very recent shinobi. The tall teen replied before he gathered his breathing. They went down and did the same, and Kakashi was more than impressed with this team. He knows about Anbu recruits and even recent Jonins who would not even climb a quarter, and they did it twice in a row. Well, I think that it is time for you to continue your advanced training. Fortunately, we're here in our secret spot. Sasuke, more speed. Naruto, did you invent it yet? Suigetsu, Futon Chakra. Karen, Haijutsu. Jugo, meditation and maybe some good training. And guys, help out each other. So, 15 days in wilderness, huh? Naruto asked Sasuke, who looked at Kakashi. No, it's actually 13 days. The last 2 days is a rest and recover. Kakashi announced as they all started their training, and even Kakashi joined in the fun. 13 days passed like a blur, in which the entire team got to know each other and became extremely close-knit like a true family. Kakashi was like a father while Naruto surprisingly was like the oldest sibling, childish and innocent as she was. Sasuke was like a true leader in the making, and Naruto was like the mother of the team. Kakashi observed how Naruto and Sasuke were too mature for their age, despite Naruto's glaring innocence. Hey, I think that we're a bunch of close-knitted misfits. Suigetsu announced, but at least we care for each other. Surprisingly, Gaara visited them, had a conversation with Sasuke about his eyes having changed, and Sasuke replied that he's the same, having found the precious irreplaceable persons does that. The best part when Naruto revealed her being a Jinchuriki, Gaara just shrugged as he was the same. It didn't matter to Kakashi, Sasuke, nor Taka. Sasuke however had a plan, and Gaara fit in perfectly it seems. Now then, another mission to Suna. Could be a good experience. Here we go again. Kakashi commented, what's your plan now, Sasuke? Well, we will find out pretty soon, we sure will. For now, let's go home. Sasuke smirked as Naruto gave him a questioning look. I'm telling you later. Gaara waved his hand as he shunshined. Starting today, our team is called Kyoryu. Kyoryu have one goal, turn the world upside down. Sasuke announced as he flashed his twin Rinnegains to his teammates. Naruto smiled. Nothing less is expected from her dear precious Tem that she now loved very much. Thanks for listening. I hope you guys liked it. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a like for more what ifs and support the author. See you guys in the